Am I the whole for wanting to postpone my wedding after reading how my fiancé talks about me in his boys' group chat? Hi, everyone. I hope you guys can give me some insight and help with the situation. Me, 24F, and my soon-to-be husband, 24M, have been together since we were both 17 years old. We were high school sweethearts, and he was my first everything. He was my first serious boyfriend, my first kiss, and he took my virginity. He is literally my first for everything I've ever experienced in a romantic relationship. He proposed to me right after I graduated nursing school, and honestly, I've never been happier than I was in that moment. I know everyone says this when they post on here, but there have literally been zero problems and zero red flags in our entire 7 years together. He has always seemed like the perfect partner, supportive, loving, and completely dedicated to me. Or at least, that is what I genuinely believed until a few days ago. Everything completely shattered because of a stupid mobile game. I wanted to play this specific game he has downloaded on his iPad because I've recently become borderline addicted to it, and he always lets me use his device to play. As I was sitting on the couch playing it, a text notification from his group chat suddenly popped up at the top of the screen. At first, I ignored it and tried to focus on the game. Then another notification came up immediately after, with one of his friends saying, "I'd marry a BJQ." I got incredibly confused by the acronym, and a strange, uneasy feeling hit my stomach, so I decided to open the message. I clicked on the notification, which took me directly into the messaging app. This group chat is composed entirely of men. Some of the guys in that chat are my own childhood friends too. We hang out with this exact group of people multiple times a week, hosting dinners, going out, and treating them like family. As I began to read through the messages, my chest tightened. My fiancé had recently sent an explicit pros and cons list about me to the entire group. I was shaking so badly, but I managed to copy the text, send it to my own phone, and completely delete the evidence from his iPad, so he wouldn't know I saw it. Here is the exact list he wrote about me. Pros: horizontally tango eager and BJ whenever I want. Big tits, big ass, big thighs, and a flat stomach. Doesn't let herself become frumpy and ugly. Funny and smart. Good cook and baker. Cons: has a lot of animals. Doesn't always keep our place clean. Laughs too loud. Vulgar and crude. Has bad breath in the mornings. Spends too much time at the gym. When I first read it, I stared at the screen trying to process it. Is the list that bad? It made my stomach drop instantly, and I've just felt this heavy, impending dread ever since discovering it. The cons aren't that bad objectively, they are just mundane, slightly annoying lifestyle complaints, but it feels so deeply objectifying with the pros list. It felt like he was evaluating a car or a piece of property, reducing my entire worth as his future wife down to my body parts and my compliance in the bedroom. And as I kept scrolling up and read more of the conversation history, the worse it got. The tone of the chat was incredibly locker room and derogatory. He talked to his friends about how he actually thinks I lied about being a virgin when we first met because I'm too eager in wanting to try too many things horizontally tango-wise. He weaponized my trust and my willingness to explore things with him as proof that I must have been deceptive about my past. He even bragged to the guys about how he has a hidden folder on his phone of private videos and photos of me and us. The moment he mentioned the folder, the other guys in the chat started egging him on. Everybody dared him to send the explicit media to the group chat. He type responded no, but how can I be completely sure he didn't end up sending it anyways later on and just deleted the evidence from the chat logs? The trust is completely gone. The text that completely broke me was when he bragged about an experiment he ran on me. He explicitly talked about how there was a week where he tested to see how many BJ he could get out of me by simply asking for them over and over again. He told his friends he finally decided to stop the test because he started to feel bad. There was so much more in that chat, but I genuinely can't bring myself to write it out here. It is too humiliating. I feel so gross, so cheap, and deeply sad. I talk about him to my friends in such a completely different way. I praise his character, his kindness, and his mind. It feels like he only sees me as a horizontal tango object to parade around and boast about to his friends, while I see him as my genuine other half and life partner. Since finding the messages, I haven't been able to look at him the same way. I have completely opted out of our usual friend hangouts, making up excuses, because I cannot bear the thought of sitting across a table from my childhood friends, knowing they have read detailed descriptions of my body and my habits. I have severely distanced myself from my fiancé in our own home. I avoid his touch, and I can barely manage to hold a conversation with him. He has definitely noticed the sudden shift in my energy. He has been hovering around me, trying to find out what is wrong and asking me why I am acting so cold, but I am not even ready to tell him yet. Every time I look at his face, I just see the words he wrote on that screen. I feel completely paralyzed. I want to postpone our wedding until we can figure this out, or honestly, see if this relationship is even salvageable at this point. Am I overreacting to this? Please, any and all advice is welcomed. Edit. The response has been overwhelming. I have never used Reddit before and opted to use my friend's account to post this. And wow, I really wasn't expecting this many people to see it. I appreciate all of your guys' advice, validation, and input. Truly, this means a lot to me right now while I am sitting alone trying to process this heartbreak. I'll try to update when I can, but again, thank you all. Update 1. I wanted to say thank you to everyone that gave me their advice and input. And also a thank you to my friend for letting me post on her Reddit account. I've never even used Reddit, so this whole experience has been wild. She suggested I use it because she uses it and told me she got a lot of great legal advice as well as emotional support. So again, thank you all. Anyways, my STBX left for a work-related trip and won't be returning till the 7th. I decided to go through his iPad even more, and the things I found were absolutely appalling. I can't even believe I considered staying. You all opened my eyes, and what I found really solidified it. At first, I honestly thought maybe I was overreacting. I kept replaying that stupid pros and cons list in my head and wondering if maybe this was just how guys talk to each other privately. Gross, immature, disrespectful, sure, but maybe not relationship ending. That mindset disappeared the longer I searched through everything. The group chat alone made me sick. They didn't talk about me constantly, but whenever they did, it was never with actual respect. I realized pretty quickly that the pros and cons list wasn't even the worst part. It was just the first thing I found. The deeper I went, the more humiliating it became. My STBX talked about me like I was some character he built for entertainment instead of the woman he planned to marry. I found out he was the one who coined the nickname BJQ. Apparently it stood for BJ Queen. Seeing that written out in messages between him and his friends made me physically nauseous. Some of these men have sat at our dinner table. Some of them hugged me, joked with me, came to birthday parties, acted completely normal to my face while laughing about that nickname behind my back. And yes, I was right. He did send videos of me. Not fully explicit videos of us having horizontal tango, but videos of me performing a BJ on him. I know some people are going to say it could have been worse, but I genuinely do not care. Those videos were private. They were made in moments where I trusted him completely. I never agreed to those being shared around like trophies in a group chat. The worst part was how casual everyone acted about it. One of his friends joked that he was living every man's dream. Another asked if I had a sister. Someone else said I was wife material for all the right reasons, which somehow felt even more disgusting considering the context. My STBX acted proud of all of it, like my love and trust in him was something he earned bragging rights for. I also searched through his Reddit and X accounts after someone suggested I check for burner accounts. I really wish I hadn't. His Reddit history was almost entirely corn. Not regular corn either. Almost every single thing centered around gangbangs, sharing, cuckolding, or women being passed around between groups of men. There were entire threads where he commented about how hot it was when women let their partners share them. Some of the comments were old, but others were recent enough that I started feeling genuinely panicked. It suddenly reframed so many things I ignored over the years. Comments he made jokingly about me being too hot to keep to himself. Times he encouraged certain outfits when his friends were around. The way he constantly pushed intimate conversations further than I wanted whenever we were hanging out in groups drinking. I always brushed it off because I trusted him and because he never outright crossed a line in front of me. Now I honestly don't know what his intentions were. I don't want to spiral into conspiracy theories, but reading all of that while knowing he already shared intimate videos of me without permission made me feel unsafe in a way I cannot fully explain. Especially because he knows my boundaries very clearly. I have always been open-minded within our relationship, but I have repeatedly said no threesomes, no sharing, no involving other people. Ever. He knew exactly where I stood. There were other things too that hurt in a completely different way. I found messages where he called me a butterface. I actually had to Google it because I had heard the term before but never fully understood it. Finding out your fiancé apparently thinks your body is attractive but your face ruins it is not exactly something you recover from quickly. He complained about my tattoos and piercings constantly in those chats. Things he told me he liked when we first started dating suddenly became too much or trashy whenever he talked to his friends. He mocked the way I laugh. Complained that I don't dress feminine enough. Said I spend too much time at the gym because it makes me too intense. At one point, he joked that I would probably be perfect if I learned how to be softer. This man proposed to me. He cried when I said yes. He told me I was the love of his life. He talked about our future constantly, about kids, about buying a bigger house someday, about growing old together. Meanwhile, behind my back, he was dissecting my body, personality, habits, and private life for group entertainment. I honestly think that realization hurt more than the intimate stuff. The intimate comments were degrading, but the rest made me question whether he even liked me as a person. It started feeling like he loved access to me more than he loved me. I have barely spoken to him since he left for the trip. He keeps texting asking why I seem distant and if I'm okay. I haven't answered most of them because I genuinely do not know how to even begin this conversation. There is too much now. It is not one comment or one mistake anymore. It is years of behavior I was completely unaware of. I started quietly taking screenshots and sending them to myself. Every message, every video reference, every comment about me, everything involving him sharing private content. I made folders and backed them up because I suddenly became terrified he would somehow wipe everything remotely if he suspected I knew. I also started looking into what revenge porn laws look like in my state because I never technically consented to those videos being shared with anybody else. I don't know yet whether what he did legally counts, but emotionally it feels violating enough already. My friend came over yesterday and sat with me while I went through more of it because I couldn't stomach doing it alone anymore. At one point, she just looked at me and asked why I was still worried about hurting his feelings when he clearly never protected mine. That hit hard. I still haven't told my family because I am so embarrassed. I know logically I did nothing wrong, but I still feel humiliated. My parents adore him. Our families are close. We already booked venues and vendors. People constantly ask me wedding questions, and I feel sick every time. Part of me wants to pack my things and disappear before he gets home. Another part wants to confront him face to face and watch him explain every single thing he said about me. I go back and forth constantly. Right now I'm documenting everything and trying not to panic. I haven't officially canceled the wedding yet, but postponing it is absolutely happening at minimum. There is no way I can marry someone while feeling this unsafe and degraded. There's so much more, and I'm just devastated. I don't even know where to begin. I don't want to tell my family cause I'm so humiliated and sad. Do I collect evidence from his iPad and take it to a lawyer? Do I start moving out while he's away? I'm just so lost right now. Thank you to everybody that helped open my eyes. Update 2. A few people asked why I had to use my friend's account. I didn't want to make a Reddit account in case he had access to my email account. I wanted to remain completely anonymous making that post. My friend posted on Reddit previously and said she got a ton of emotional support and legal advice, which is what she said I needed. I'm very thankful she helped me make a post. Some messaged and said that this was clearly fetish content. I don't know how it would be, but I promise it's not. If I wanted to post fetish content, I'd just go to the side groups designated for that LOL. I'm sorry if I came off as too vulgar in the previous posts, but I was just trying to detail everything as best as possible. Anyways, on to the update. I was able to get moved out before he came home, but I barely made it. I finished moving everything out late at night on the 6th. I'm staying with Leslie until I'm able to find a new place. My family as well as his are aware of what's going on. I decided to text his mom everything. She never responded. My parents are completely floored by all of this. My mom cried when I finally showed her the screenshots because she genuinely loved him and thought we were solid. My dad took it very differently. He barely spoke during the entire move. He just kept carrying boxes back and forth from the apartment to his truck with this angry look on his face. At one point, he found out about the videos and walked outside for almost 20 minutes because he was so furious he thought he was going to explode. He helped me move the majority of my things out and accidentally broke his PC tower LOL. I honestly underestimated how difficult moving out would be emotionally. I thought once I made the decision, everything would feel clear. Instead, it felt surreal packing up 7 years of my life into boxes while trying to avoid breaking down every 10 minutes. There were so many normal things sitting around the apartment that suddenly felt horrible to look at. Pictures from trips, wedding planning binders, the stupid mugs we bought together when we first moved in. I ended up throwing a lot of random things away because I couldn't stand touching them. I had to move fast because I was terrified he would come home early and catch me there. Leslie and my dad basically coordinated everything with me to make sure I wasn't alone while packing. One of my cousins stayed outside in her car during the last few hours because we were all paranoid he'd suddenly pull into the parking lot. I don't want to get too much into the legal stuff because I don't know what I can and can't discuss publicly. What I will share is that my lawyer wants to pursue charges and the police believe I have enough evidence. The officers and detective I'm working with have been extremely helpful and are going above and beyond for me. The detective actually sat me down and explained that I did the right thing by documenting everything instead of confronting him immediately. Apparently, cases involving shared private images can become messy very quickly once the other person realizes they've been exposed. I'm really grateful I listened to people here telling me to gather evidence first because I genuinely almost confronted him the same night I found everything. Before he came home on the 7th, I texted one of the guy's girlfriends and let her know what I found because even though I didn't find images or videos of the other guy's girlfriends, it still felt better to be safe than sorry. She was amazing, honestly. She believed me almost immediately and thanked me for telling her instead of hiding it. Apparently, I was not the only woman uncomfortable with that group. She later told me there had been weird moments before where she caught her boyfriend and the others making comments that crossed lines, but she brushed it off because they always framed it as dark humor or guy talk. After everything came out, several girlfriends and wives apparently started comparing stories and screenshots between each other. I don't know the full details because I'm trying to stay out of that mess now, but from what I understand, a lot of relationships in that friend group are imploding at the same time. When he finally came home, everything went pretty much how everyone predicted. My phone started exploding almost immediately. Calls, texts, emails, FaceTimes, messages through apps I forgot we even used. At first he sounded confused and scared. He kept asking where I was and whether I was okay. He said he came home and thought we had been robbed because so much stuff was gone. Then the tone changed. He started asking where his iPad was. For context, I did not steal it. My lawyer advised me to preserve certain evidence before returning anything, especially because there were concerns he would wipe devices remotely the second he figured out what was happening. Once he realized I had likely seen everything on it, he completely lost it. Within an hour, the messages turned nasty. He accused me of invading his privacy, called me dramatic and insane, said I had completely misunderstood jokes. Then he started blaming me for ruining both our lives over locker room talk. One minute, he would beg me to answer him because he loved me, and the next he'd tell me I needed psychiatric help. At one point, he sent a 7-paragraph text explaining how all men talk like that privately and how I destroyed our future because I couldn't handle reality. Then, he started panicking again after realizing police might be involved. He showed up at the hospital looking for me, which thankfully failed because I wasn't working that day. One of the CNAs I work with called me immediately after seeing him wandering around asking people where I was. That honestly scared me more than anything else up until that point because it made everything suddenly feel real and unpredictable. Since then, I've been staying somewhere he cannot access alone. My family knows where I am. My close friends know the situation. Leslie has basically become my bodyguard at this point and refuses to let me go anywhere alone if she can help it. Cops advised me not to block him because he'll likely say something that can further my case. And honestly, they were right. The angrier he gets, the more reckless his messages become. At first, he denied everything completely. Then he started minimizing it. Now he's trying to justify it. One of the latest messages basically admitted he shared videos but argued it wasn't a big deal because it was only with trusted friends. Reading that made me physically sick all over again. What hurts almost as much as finding out how many people knew parts of who he really was except me. One of his old coworkers reached out privately after hearing what happened and told me my ex used to brag about our horizontal tango life at work too. Apparently not in graphic detail like the group chat, but enough that several people there thought it was weird. Nobody ever told me. I also found out that some of my childhood friends in that chat never defended me once. Not one time. Even the women I grew up around through mutual friendships apparently heard rumors over the years that he talked about me in degrading ways. Nobody said anything because they assumed I knew or because they didn't want drama. That part has been hard to process. I feel embarrassed in ways I can't fully explain. Not just because of the videos or comments, but because I genuinely thought I was in a respectful relationship. I defended this man constantly. I trusted him completely. Meanwhile, he was building an entirely different image of me behind my back for years. I'm safe. My family is aware, and so are all my friends. I have a great support system. I'm just so scared and exhausted. I'm sorry if this is jumbled and doesn't make sense. I'm still trying to piece together everything. If there's more, I will update. ETA, I appreciate the concern, but regarding the PC comment, I paid for it, and it was originally mine. He just took it over without asking, so he can't do anything about it. And he already knows I'm with Leslie. I can't disclose much, but once everything is settled and finalized, I can give a more in-depth update and provide more info. Probably won't be able to for a year or two depending. Thank you all. Edit. I'm noticing a huge influx of comments calling this fake. So I'm assuming my ex has found this and is sending his dick riders after me to try to make me look crazy. If that's the case, all your girlfriends know the behaviors you all participated in, and so do your employers, not my doing. Have fun with that. Hope the vids and pics were worth it, you worthless creeps. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Daily Tales Update.